One of the questions that humans have been asking for thousands of years is, what are we here for? What's our purpose? And I love the spiritual teaching that says really the purpose for us to be here as humans is to get the maximum amount of pleasure possible. And if you think about it in your own life, almost everything you do, everything you choose is to get more pleasure, right? So you eat the foods that you think are going to bring you the most pleasure. You have the relationships that you feel like are going to give you the most pleasure. Hopefully you're doing the work, the jobs that you bring you the most pleasure. The thing is though, not all pleasure is created equal. And there's 5 levels of pleasure. This is one of my favorite teachings. And we'll start with the lowest level of pleasure, and we'll use this airplane as an analogy. So the lowest level of pleasure is physical pleasure. And you can think about that as things that money can buy. So that's your material stuff, buying new clothes and shoes and cars and houses. It's physical pleasure is food, physical pleasure is sex. Physical pleasure are those things that most of us spend the most amount of time focused on, right? That first level, or that lowest level. Something to also know that for each level of pleasure, there is counterfeits too. So for physical pleasure, while yes, food and sex, that can be a really beautiful pleasure, the counterfeit pleasure would be like fast food, eating really unhealthy food, where yeah, it might bring you temporary pleasure, but it's actually going to bring you more discomfort as time goes on. Same thing with unconscious sex. Sex can be very pleasurable, but sex with the wrong person, the wrong energy, it's a counterfeit. It's not going to serve you. And then as far as the plane goes, like 5th level pleasure, that's not even the pleasure that gets you the last seat next to the bathroom. 5th level pleasure is like being in the cargo area underneath with the suitcases. The next level of pleasure, a little higher up, is love. So for a lot of us, this is the highest level of pleasure that we get to experience in our lives. So love is, just as it sounds, it's having a really loving relationship with someone in your life. That could be your partner, it could be your family, but it's having love for something. And the idea of these levels of pleasure, you would give up almost all of the lower level to get a higher level. So you'd give up almost any of your physical pleasures for love. And you might see that in like a relationship where a dude loves watching sports and playing fantasy sports, but maybe his girlfriend is like, I don't really like watching sports so much. So he gives up some of that for the love. He gives it up for something higher. A lot of different examples of that too. The counterfeit for love is like lust or infatuation, or really codependent love, where it's not a healthy love. It's a love that maybe takes your energy away, it drains you, takes your authenticity away. So we have to be aware of that counterfeit too. A little bit higher of a level of pleasure, 3rd level is, and then love is like the coach seats, right? A little bit higher, coach plus or economy plus, is purpose. Purpose is having meaning, having a why, understanding really what you are here for individually and specifically. So this is what the yogis call dharma. It's your soul's purpose. It's you are a certain puzzle piece that fits into this universal puzzle. And if you've ever done a puzzle and you were missing one piece, it's incomplete. It doesn't feel good. So really every single person makes the world whole by living their purpose, by being on track. The counterfeit for purpose or meaning, that 3rd level of pleasure, would be feeling or doing something for power rather than purpose, like getting those confused. Right? Like you want to have your job not necessarily to make a positive impact, but to be able to have a lot of power or control people. So just watch out for the counterfeits. A little bit higher level of a pleasure. This is the business class. A little bit wider seats, a little bit nicer. This is creation. So creation is the level right above purpose. And it really means creating in alignment with your purpose, or in alignment with your meaning. And creation, it's a super high level of pleasure. It's like being like God, right? God is the creator, so when we create, it's like being like God, or getting intimate with the infinite, getting a little bit closer to God. Highest level of pleasure, this is first class, maybe even the pilot seat, the cockpit. The highest level of pleasure is oneness or unity. It's feeling a connection to the universe or your soul or God, whatever words you want to use it. It's that pleasure that you get when you're so aligned, when you really are embodying so much truth, and it's like time stands still. It's moments of bliss. It's moments of absolute peace and stillness. Really the most beautiful moments. So ultimately, everything that we want to think about physical pleasures, those low levels, and really a lot of these, they're vapor. They're not going to last forever. They're impermanent, right? They will quickly change and decompose and break. But these higher levels of pleasure, these are eternal, right? So if we can fix our mind instead of on the low-level physical pleasures, the pleasures of this 3D world, and ascend to the 5D, get to that place of oneness and unity, we are going to be in absolute bliss, absolute pleasure. It's what the yogis say is our true nature, our true soul. So the more we do this spiritual work, the more we experience oneness, the more we experience the greatest pleasure. What you put your attention on is where your energy goes, and it's where it grows.